There's only one place to start with the Premier League's games this weekend, and that's Man City 2, Liverpool 2. What a fantastic game. Just such a high quality game of football. The passing was phenomenal. The players gave everything, and it was really, really entertaining. I think City dominated the first half, and they could have been out of sight, but fair play to Liverpool. They came back in the second half and did really well, and they pressed so high. To be fair, both teams had a really high defensive line, but especially Liverpool, they had a high defensive line, and they were pressing City massively, especially in the first half, and they were very brave, and fair play to them. But City did dominate that first half, and like I said, they could have been out of sight. They had some really big chances, but in the second half, Liverpool did really well to come back, and in the end, I think a draw is a fair result, but it's a result that definitely suits City, who now have it in their own hands, obviously. But fair play, it was a fantastic game of football. And next we have Southampton 0, Chelsea 6. Just absolutely crazy. And to be fair, it could have been, unfortunately for Saints' point of view, it could have been 9-0. For Southampton, they just seem to have one of those games every season where they just lose 9-0 or 6-0. But in all fairness, overall, Southampton play good football. They are very competitive in most games, obviously apart from this one, and they're mid-table. And for them, they shouldn't be too worried. They probably still looking to try and finish 10th, possibly 9th, but this is just one of those games that they can just write off. But as for Chelsea, 6-0, like I said, it could have been more. Timo Werner hit both posts and the crossbar and scored twice, so that just shows how much of a crazy game that was. Then you have Tottenham, who are now 4th, 3 points clear of Arsenal after they beat Aston Villa 4-0, but they only created an XG of 0.85 according to Infogol, so that just shows how clinical they were. Son scoring a hat-trick, phenomenal hat-trick from him. What a season he's having. And yeah, like I said, Tottenham were extremely clinical, and to be fair, Villa were unlucky to not score a couple of goals themselves, but it's just another performance where they don't capitalise on chances, especially against teams in the top half, and ultimately you'd have to say they still deserve to lose, but they still could have scored twice. It was just one of those crazy games, and Villa, they will be disappointed that they couldn't get that result against one of the teams in the top half of the table. Then you have Arsenal losing at home to Brighton 2-1 in what was a pretty poor performance from Arsenal. And, you know, recent weeks, Arsenal haven't been too bad, but bad loss against Palace 3-0 and now losing 2-1 at home with Partey and Tierney both seemingly out injured until the end of the season. Arsenal, they only had one shot on target in the first half. They had 78% possession in the second half, and overall in the game they only had 4 shots on target, so it just showed that there was just a lack of urgency from them. But to be fair, you still had players like Odegaard who performed well, who scored a really great goal, and he continues his fine run of form. But yeah, Arsenal, I still personally think they're actually well in the top 4 race, and they could easily sneak in because they still have to play Tottenham, and normally Arsenal do raise their game in the North London derby, and that means that obviously it's kind of still in just about it's still in Arsenal's hands, and I definitely think they're still one of a shout for top 4 spot, but it makes it harder after losing games against Palace and Brighton. As for Brighton, weirdly they didn't actually create too many chances in this game, but they were just clinical. Basically the opposite of the last few games against the likes of Villa, Newcastle, Man United, where they have created a lot of chances but haven't put them away. But both of Brighton's goals were really well taken, especially the second goal. Just an amazing move and a really, really lovely finish from Mwepu. But that's pretty much Brighton safe now. And to be fair, they were kind of safe in even during this bad run of form because they had gained so many points earlier on in the season. But it shows how much of a good season Brighton are still having, but they need to definitely sign a striker so they can put the chances away. Next, we have Brentford 2, West Ham 0 in a game that Brentford definitely deserved to win. They were the better team in the sense that they created more chances, they were more clinical, and now that they have 4 wins in their last 5 games. And since Christian Eriksen has signed, and in all the games that he started, Brentford have won all of them. So he came on as a sub back from his horrific cardiac arrest, came on as a sub against Newcastle. Brentford lost that game, but in every game Eriksen has started, Brentford have won. And the one game he didn't play in was Leicester away when they lost. So it just shows the phenomenal impact that he's having on the team. As for West Ham, they were just completely off it. And that, to be fair, that's understandable because they've had such an amazing season. They have such a small squad. They've got a lot of injuries. And Zuma's added to that list of injuries now. And they've had a massive game on Thursday against Lyon. And they've got that second leg game in Lyon on Thursday. So it's kind of understandable that they didn't put in a very good performance today against Brentford. But fair play to Brentford, that's definitely them safe now, and they've had a fantastic season, so fair play to them for basically securing safety so early on in the season with still about, 6 or 7 games left to play, so all credit to Thomas Frank and his team. Then on Saturday lunchtime you had Everton. They beat Man United 1-0 in what was a really convincing win. Everton ran 10 kilometres more than Man United. I mean, that is just absolutely insane. That's really damning from United's point of view. But from Everton's point of view, after such a poor performance away against Burnley, to perform well, put in a lot of effort, create a good amount of chances against Man United, and to run 10 kilometres more than them, and then to nick the win was absolutely fantastic. I say nick the win because obviously Gordon's goal was a shot that was deflected, and United, they did have some good shots in the game, Rashford and Pogba having a good few shots, but overall I think Everton did edge that and deserved to win, but United were way off it, and it was good to see that Rashford performed and that he's back in form now. In a way, that's good. You kind of want to see him perform like that from now until the end of the season, but aside from that, United were off it and they didn't deserve anything from the game. Then on Friday you had Newcastle. They beat Wolves 1-0. Not a particularly good game, but I think Newcastle did enough to win the game. Obviously they scored a goal that was chalked off by VAR for offside, and then they got the penalty. Wolves, just a massive missed opportunity for them. If they put in a really good performance and got the win against Newcastle, you'd be thinking that they could finish in the Europa League spot, but now they didn't win, it's looking less likely they're going to finish in Europa League. Then you had Leicester on Sunday beating Palace by 2-1. Again, similar to the Newcastle game in the sense that it wasn't great, but the home side did enough to win the game. Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, excellent, an assist and a well-taken goal. Fair play to him. Leicester, you'd think they have that 9th spot secured, but they'll want to push on for more, considering they've got 2 games at hand over some of the teams above them. Palace, not a great performance from them, but they'll be thinking about the FA Cup semi-final on Sunday against Chelsea. Then, a massive game near the bottom of the table. Watford 0, Leeds 3. That's surely Leeds safe now. Not particularly great performance from them. They actually created 0.95 XG. Watford, they created 0.90 XG. So both teams having very similar XG scores according to Infogol, but Leeds were just more clinical. And because Rafinha scored a really lovely goal in the first half, as the second half was going on, Watford had to push on for the win. They had to go for it. They had to win at home, which meant that Leeds could sit back and break on the counter-attack, which is exactly what they did. And they scored 2 more really well-taken goals. And it means now that Leeds are all but safe and Watford are all but down. I still wouldn't rule them out just yet because they've still got some decent fixtures coming up. But it's a huge, huge missed opportunity. And then finally, at the bottom, Norwich 2, Burnley 0. I definitely didn't expect this. I thought Burnley would, after winning midweek against Everton in a massive game, I thought Burnley would be buoyed and really confident and put in a really good performance against Norwich. And to be fair to Burnley, they were good in the first half and arguably deserved a goal, but I was just so disappointed them after half time. For them not to raise their level in the second half was really disappointing, and I think in the end Norwich deserved the win. And to be fair to them, they were really decent defensively, especially Gibson against his old club, who for me was my man of the match. But yeah, Norwich, it's a good win for them, gives them a tiny, tiny chance to stay up, but more realistically, it's a good win for them to potentially build on for next season. But it's more about Burnley this game. just really disappointed with their performance in the second half. I was definitely expecting more, and it's definitely going to be a massive, massive struggle for them to stay up now. So that was a quick Premier League roundup. Thank you for listening to this video or watching this video. I really appreciate it. Please like, comment and subscribe.